So welcome to part 2 of our journey along the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. Nice chilled out, relaxed afternoon.
Canal boat trips have been sailing from the wharf in Skipton for well over 50 years, and most of them have made it back. It started off with an inspection launch called Alexandra, and in the 1970s the Cobydale was bought. In 1997 she was lengthened and replated. She's quite an old lady and has a tidy bottom. The Dalesman was built in 1994 to the design of Alan Hughes by Coalcraft. In 2002, Nick Osborne took over the business and has introduced theme night cruises with live entertainment and a hot supper. Who needs a Mediterranean cruise, eh? These go out on a Thursday night and some Saturdays in the high season. He's also introduced the 2-hour roast dinner cruises sailing on Sundays, and in the winter months he introduced the roast Christmas dinner cruises and the ever popular magical Santa trips. These are not to be missed, and if you would like to have any more information about these, please pop into the office and they'll be pleased to help you. In 2003, Pennine Boats bought 4 electric powered boats imported from France. These were then sold in 2010 when someone misplaced the extension leads and the 2 big continental plug adapters. The steam powered boat was introduced for a short season in 2008. In 2009 an inspection launch was purchased called Victoria. She was built in 1880 and was a beautiful boat, but Nick wasn't happy with the steering, so sold her after a few months. In 2009 Alex Osborne, who was only in his early 20s, designed and built 2 32-foot narrowboats to be used here as day boats. These are named Airedale and Beedale and moored up at the wharf by the office. These are available for day hire and hold up to 10 people. Full instruction is given and you can then explore the canal on a wonderful day out with lunch on board, a picnic or in one of the local waterside pubs. I highly recommend it. Great day out. And so, to a little bit about the canal history and its wildlife. Questions will be asked at the end of this, so if you could just wake up. The canal was started in 1770 and opened in stages, although it was not properly completed for over 40 years. It was built to an unusual gauge, considering the areas it linked together. The locks were only built large enough to accommodate the Yorkshire Keels, the Calder and Humber rivers, and were too short for the average size Mersey Flat or any Midland narrowboats. It's a long navigation and climbs steeply into the hillside of Lancashire. As water supply to the summit was always very difficult, it was built for vessels drawing no more than 4 feet. The canal barges that evolved from all these constraints were the Leeds and Liverpool short boats. About 60 feet long and 14 feet wide, they combined styles of construction from both east and west of the Pennines. Most short boats were carvel-built wooden craft, fast but efficient, with a fine, graceful run aft, bringing the water smoothly up to a big wooden rudder. Some were round stern, with all the planks pulled in and fixed to one vertical stern post, but many of the horse boats, especially on the Yorkshire side, were the ransom. Steam short boats were being built into the 1950s, and most of these survived, although scattered around the system. One is even near London after the coastal passage. Several are to be seen in or near Manchester, where the Leeds and Liverpool Canal proper is joined to the Ridgewater Canal by the Leeds branch. These Leeds and Liverpool short boats also developed an elaborate and unusual style of decorative paintwork, quite distinct from that of the canal craft. Panels of strong colour with contrasting borders carried intricate painted scrollwork and deeply shaded lettering, and even the guardlines at bow and stern were painted with repeat patterns of stripes, triangles and little fleur-de-lis. Pictures appeared as well, but not as constrained in subject matter as the castle convention of the narrowboats. Cottages, sailing ships, vases of flowers, horses, windmills, monkeys. I'd love a monkey on the side of my narrowboat. On a bike, funniest thing in the world. Anything and everything that appealed to popular taste could be incorporated within the strong visual framework of the painted panelling, with each corner filled in as a quadrant. Most of all, however, it was the insistent painted scrollwork that gave the short boats their special regional character, a tradition that is in grave danger of being entirely lost. At a steady walking speed, a horse can move approximately, get this, 50 times as much weight in a boat that it could with a cart on old-fashioned roads. Possibly 100 times its own body weight. It's amazing. The load moves with minimal friction, whilst the strength of the animal is linked directly to the load with little wasted energy. And it was this efficiency equation that inspired the development of the canal system in the 18th century. It was also this same old-fashioned horsepower that kept it
Hey, up, it's a pair of legs.
for a century and a half.
Hey, that'll be good on my video, dude. Yeah.
Steam and motorboats,
Going on.
craft continued to operate and compete until the middle of the
What's
20th
Jim's
century.
doing?
Horses are a
Turn
critically
out.
important part of canal history, but a part that is in
There he is.
danger of being overlooked in this mechanical age.
Get
Remember,
him.
always, it wasn't so much the steam engine that created the Industrial Revolution as the horse that brought the coal to the boiler in the first place. Horse boating, for all its apparent slow, romantic grace, was not for the faint-hearted. It was very hard work requiring skill, judgment and experience, interspersed with long hours of plodding drudgery, and most of the boating population were pleased to move on to motorboats as they became available. Engines, you see, didn't get tired, and you didn't have to walk behind them all day, every day. The decorative ropework tradition of canal boats was the combination of cultural need coupled with the ready availability of the right material at a price the boatman could afford. The practical need was primarily fendering, something soft and resilient between the boat and the log wall, or something to protect the house-proud skipper's elaborate paintwork from damage. Big, tough fenders had to be made and fitted to the bows of any boats when working locks, and a big set of stern fenders was needed on a motorboat to soften the bumps of the towed butty boats running into the motorboat's stern in bridges or shallow places. A thick plait of rope was whipped around the very top of the big wooden horseboat rudder to protect the paint, and several small plaits or tuck's heads encircled the wooden tiller to save it from damaging the cabin roof. These were practical needs being fulfilled in a logical way with waste rope, and a neat craftsman and a tidy boat captain ensured that these fenders always looked neat and tidy, all properly shipshape in nautical parlance. There were, however, many other pieces of decorative ropework on a well-furnished narrowboat which, whilst probably originally invented for functional reasons, gradually became simply decorative additions. Short ropes with fancy knitted ends dangled down the cabin sides and from the water can and the chimney, and pretty tubes of knotted ropework adorned with more tuck's head plaits were strained taut down the back of the rudder. Ropes originally tied over a folded tarpaulin topcloth to stop it blowing away became permanent, neat geometric designs in rope, with the spur ends coiled and tucked under the tight white ropework lines like little wheels. The secret heart of all the arts of the narrowboat world was the tiny boat cabin. It was secret because it was such a private space, the personal home and possessions of the boating family, but it was the heart because it shaped and controlled the working lives of the boat people, and the folk art of the canal is the result of that historic lifestyle. Canal towpaths and surrounding areas support a large variety of wildlife, some easier to see than others. Summer days bring out butterflies and dragonflies. Evenings you may hear frogs and toads croaking in the rushes, foxes barking or badgers howling in the woods. You may see bats flitting through the dark, many living in old buildings near the canals, the rare pipistrelle bat in this case. Water voles can be seen swimming across the canal, although the voracious mink has taken a heavy toll on their numbers. Grey squirrels are common in most woods, red squirrels less so these days. And you may be lucky enough to see a stoat or a weasel out hunting. You can see swans, ducks, moorhens, coots, herons, and possibly the blue flash of a kingfisher as it skims the canal ahead of the boats. Up at Skipton Woods, which is at the top of the high street, regular dog walkers say a kingfisher is seen almost daily throughout the winter months. There was a water otter on one of the small boats at the wharf, and by water otter I don't mean a kettle, I mean a proper otter, which has been seen diving into the canal catching fish and bringing them back to the boat to feed. So keep your eyes peeled and let us know if you spot something we've mentioned or something we haven't seen ourselves. Oh, and fish and chip and burger cartons don't count, there's plenty of them. Pennine boat trips go out a few times a year to get the litter at the canal, but still people throw rubbish in. You'd think they put it in the bins, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Hanging's too good for them. Bring back the birch, I say. And so, back to the good old Industrial Revolution. You may have seen at the canal based in Skipton the branch of water that goes up towards the top end of town. This is known as the Springs branch. This waterway was built for the stone to be taken from Horbank Quarry back to the mainline canal. The tramway from the Horbank Quarry originally ended high above the Springs branch canal. The stone was dropped about 100 feet into boats from chutes. I wonder what health and safety made of that. I wonder if they'd done a risk assessment. Dropping stone 100 foot into boats, wear a helmet at least. This, of course, was a noisy operation, and Lord Thanet, the occupant of Skipton Castle, demanded an extension of the tramway to the main canal. I don't blame him. However, sadly for Lord Thanet, this was refused by the canal company. In 1836, however, Horbank Quarry was producing 80,000 tonnes of limestone a year, eventually a new tramway. The castle has stood in Skipton for over 900 years. It was first built as a motte and bailey castle in 1090 by a Norman baron, Robert de Romille. And for those of you who don't speak French, that's translated as Robert of Romille. The wooden castle was replaced with a stone keep as it wasn't strong enough to withstand attacks from the Scots to the north. For nearly 1,000 years, Skipton Woods provided fuel, building materials and food to the castle that it surrounds, and the waterways that run through it gave power to local wool, corn and sawmills across 2 centuries. The forest was carefully managed for firewood, timber and for hunting, while the beck provided fresh water and plenty of fish. But through all this management and heavy usage, the spirit of Skipton has never changed. It's still one of the most beautiful, serene sights in the Wild About Woods project. Spend a couple of hours following the valley of the Ellerbeck on the Wild About Woods trail. Sit and admire some stunning views. Soak up the peace and the history. You'll go home recharged.
Alright, yeah.
One of the kids in my school, Dad lives on a boat.
Yeah.
We can know bridge now.
Really nice.
first down the I want to get one. No, like once you grow old, we can overtake the house. Wait, Dad. Once you grow old and you go to care homes, we can overtake the house.
Bye, Mum.
Wait a while. Wait a while, okay. Got to wait till at least 21 and more. Oh, that's so good. I thought you were looking after us, actually. We'll have to watch it.
Well, I might as well be
Settled already. You got nice there.
Will you let me in?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we will soon be arriving in Barbados. Hope the skirt hasn't got you. Sorry, no, I stand corrected. Skipper tells me we are arriving back at our wharf in Skipton. Could you please return to and remain in your seats? Once it is safe to do so and the boat is securely moored up, we will let you know when you can disembark. Please take care opening overhead lockers, as with the riders bumpy as today, your stuff will definitely move around a bit. When you leave the boat, please be sure to take all your belongings with you. Anything left behind will be shared out by the crew and will probably be on eBay by tomorrow. This does not apply to spouses and children left on board. I'd just like to remind you again of the step down from your seats. Please be careful. I hope you've enjoyed the cruise with us today. Don't forget our theme nights on Thursdays and Saturdays from May through to September. And also, as I mentioned before, why not hire out a day boat and be your own skipper? They carry up to 10 people on board and make a fabulous day out for all the family. All the information and bookings are available from our wharf office and indeed online at www.canaltrips.co.uk. The skipper and crew wish you a lovely day and safe journey home. We hope to see you again soon. Before you go into town, you may wish to look at the buildings in our yard. Full of history, there used to be stables where the road trees are, and there are more photos in the Skipton Pie Shop, which we encourage you to look at if you have time. It's full of canal memorabilia, model boats and delicious homemade pies. On behalf of Pennine Boat Trips, I do hope that you've had an enjoyable day in Skipton. If you'd like further details of our day boats, private charters, special cruises, please pop into the wharf office and they will give you more information. Thanks again. It's goodbye from me, Dave Spike.
Go, right?